Hey everybody, you're listening to Raw with Marty Gallagher, JP Brice and Jim Steel on ICTV. Today we're discussing back training and why it's so important. So let's just jump right in. Guys, why is back training so important?
Jim, I'm going to lateral the ball to you.
Back training? Well, it depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about, your low back, your lats, upper back. I mean, I think it's all important. I think for health and longevity and injury prevention, deadlifts and things like that, that kind of back training is good for that. For development, it's fantastic. You got to do back. You can't look good from the front. We're talking about bodybuilding. You can't look good from the front and crappy from the back. You got to be complete.
Ask Paul Dillette.
Right. When he turned around, it was over.
Oh,
when Dorian turned around, it was really over.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
He was one of the most monstrous guys, and Marty, you and I have talked about, not to get off topic, but we've talked about Paul. My job when I worked for Lou Zwick back in the day was to go around. I was 19 at the time. I'd have to pick up these bodybuilders from like LAX and take them to.
What was the show that Lou was doing? American Muscle. What was that?
Yeah. On, ESPN.
Yeah, American Muscle on ESPN.
So JP was like, I don't know what an intern, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For this guy, right?
Yeah. So
go ahead. You're hauling around all these bodybuilding stars that are appearing on this show. It's pretty popular Lou would, for a long while, right?
Yeah, Lou would send me down to LAX and pick these guys up. Now, mind you, at the time, I'm 19. I'm driving a Toyota Tercel stick shift, no air conditioning, and all of a sudden I got Paul Dillette in my car. All 292 pounds, 6'2", 23-inch arms. And the scene, what that must have looked like from the outside, I wish I had it on tape. He was the widest guy I've ever seen. He was just incredible. He had stretch marks on his forearms. I've never seen that before. He was just massive. But we brought him in, and he actually signed a Weeder contract. He came in from Florida. He signed a Weeder contract that weekend, and
he had good athletic genetics. He was a CFL football player. I don't think he was a starter, but I mean, he was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Also, he was notorious for the little pussy poundages that he used to get these incredible pumps. He'd like to sit on the end of a bench and handle a pair of 35s and pump his arms up. And Jim Wright's like, it's all in the way he's wired, Marty. It's the way he's wired. And I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of guys will do that and they'll be massive.
He's like doing benches with 185.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of guys do that. Now, I never saw Paul work out, and I never, but I do remember going backstage.
You would have fallen asleep.
I took him back. Let's see, they were having the USA or something out here. I can't remember what show it was, but I remember Barry DeMay and all these guys just tripping out over him, going, "Dude, you're effing huge. You're massive."
Well, he was.
So, and the back, I never studied his back, but you're always saying he had some deficiencies in his back. So
let me put this out there. Maybe because you need some heavy weights. Maybe you need some compound movements to have a crazy back. Look at Yates. Look at Cole.
May I tell one Dillette story before we spin off? So back in the day, there was a big athletes meeting at Weeder headquarters in Woodland Hills, and the writers, had to show up. So Dillette's in there, and he's bitching about the fact that he has not appeared on as many covers as lesser guys, and he said it was due to racism. And my friend Julian Schmidt, the head writer for Flex, said, "Paul, it's not because you're black, it's because you're fucking ugly." He said, the only thing you're missing is 2 bolts on the side of your neck.
Oh, wow.
And Dillette went,
well, he had that flat top.
He melted. He melted because he knew it was true. He knew it was true.
Yeah, that's why Mike O'Hearn was on there every week.
Every week. Yes, Mike O'Hearn, the world's greatest looking individual.
So I don't know anything about that. Now my experience with Paul, he was a good dude. But anyway, back to back training. So
do you know in the off season he was weighing 320?
I believe it. He was the most massive guy I ever saw at the time, and that was
he was gigantic. And I saw him at the Arnold one year, and he's hanging out with what was that Canadian giant guy who weighed 385, Greg Kovacs.
Yeah.
So Greg Kovacs and Paul Dillette. Dillette's weighing 320. Kovacs is weighing whatever 385, and Julian Schmidt, Jim Wright, myself, and I don't know who else. We're sitting at the table next to him, and these guys are like ordering 5 lunches a piece, right? And they just keep bringing the food. And Julian goes, "Don't move. I want to see where this goes." I mean, the calories. And this was like, for these guys, one meal.
Well, now Kovacs, I think, hit 400 at one time. He was another guy that I had to go down.
He looked good. I got to tell you, he looked good too. So did Dillette. He looked tight at 320.
Nasser said that Kovacs' wife had to wipe his ass because he couldn't reach around.
Listen, I believe it. He was so massive.
Nasser was a dick. Excuse me, I did not like him as a human.
Yeah.
When Kovacs came into LAX, he was another guy I had to go down and pick up. I'll never forget. He gets off the plane.
You picked up Kovacs?
I did. I hung out with him for a day.
Was he at his massive giantness peak?
He gets off the plane. He's got like an Izod shirt on that's like 5 times too small, and he was like 6'3" or whatever.
Yeah, and he was a tall dude.
And the back on this guy, I remember walking behind him for a minute, and the back, I mean, his lats just hung down and went like straight out.
What do you think he weighed?
I'm trying to remember at the time. Now, this was around 91, 92. He was in the 3s easy. He was massive.
3s? Oh, come on. Yeah, I mean,
he never had, if you look 15. At him in pictures and stuff, he never had the greatest shape to him. He, on the stage, but he was massive. He
was like the Barbarian Brothers. He was a guy who was always getting ready to compete, but he never really competed. When he did, he embarrassed himself at the Night of Champions.
He had a big lump on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah. It looked like he had some sort of cancer or some sort of alien was ready to jump out of his shoulder. And we're sitting there in the front row going, what in the hell? Because he was hitting himself up with that
synthol.
Yeah, whatever the swell stuff. They had stuff that if if you were deficient, you could and you'd have guys whose name we shall not mention, they love to put it in their calves.
Yeah.
So they turn around and they'd spike a calf, and nothing would happen.
Yeah, just a lump.
Yeah, and it's 21 inches, but it's swollen like a bee sting.
Yeah.
Right, and it was pretty obvious who was doing that. But yeah, he embarrassed himself. But I'll tell you what, I would believe the weights that he was pushing just in how damn big he was.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was like claiming like 500-pound incline press, well, so what if you weigh 400? Right. That's 100 pounds over body weight. A lot of guys can do 100 pounds over body weight.
He had told me too at the time he lived on a farm. I think he lived on his girlfriend's farm or something, and they had a gym in the basement or something, and that's where he worked out. But
he must have had a monster frame.
He was interesting. Yeah, that's a monster frame.
Well, he died early, right? What did he keel over from, right?
Yeah.
Anybody know? Did he just?
Not sure.
Probably heart attack or something.
Yeah. Again, running the Cadillac body on the Volkswagen engine.
Right. All right. Are we done with back training?
Oh, man, you are such a downer.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to keep us on track.
Jim, Jim, what's the best back you ever saw in person?
Ronnie Coleman. I saw him guest pose.
Oh,
I mean, he's the biggest person.
now, okay.
Now
what? So was he weighing? Now here's another one. Now he was probably weighing 320, right?
He was over 3 in the off season, man. He was huge. I mean,
and we're talking 5'11", right?
Yeah,
he was my height.
Yeah.
You know, I met him a couple times. He was my height, but I only knew him when he was little. Before yes, exactly. And he looked great. He looked great then. Oh. So anyway, you saw him at his peak.
Yeah, he was like 2 or 3 times Mr. Olympia when I saw him guest pose. Yeah, big dude, man.
Didn't you think that he looked better relaxed than posed?
From the front, yeah. I think from behind though, man, his lat spread and his back double bicep was just.
Hey Marty, I know what you mean. Some guys, and Coleman is one of them, where he used to just relax.
Mike Menser was the epitome of that.
Yeah, and they just have superhero shape.
Right. Nothing changed. See, the problem is there's not a drastic change when they start to pose.
Yeah.
When Arnold.
Yes, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Arnold summed it up way back in the day. He said, some guys like Franco, they look so good when they're just standing there relaxed, but when they pose, nothing happens. He said, did anybody fall down? What happened?
What was that?
JP?
Oh that was my chair. But Arnold was one of the physiques that when he posed, he just came alive. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And
like a lot of times when he was just sitting there, he was always impressive. But there's shots, on the internet you can see and all that where he's just okay. Has he been?
Do you know what the difference is?
What is it?
Tight fascia.
Is that what it is?
Fascia, fascia. The sausage-like tubing that creates the outer edge of muscle. His was loose and elastic, and when he hit a pose, it would just go and swell. Whereas Franco was like, he had fascia like canvas, and he'd hit it and it would be like, nothing happens. I tell you, our boy Kirk was a little like that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of powerlifters like that. They looked great when they were just standing around, or even when they were kind of doing their lift. But if you'd ask them to hit a pose, nothing really happened.
Yeah.
And you see a little bodybuilder like Porter Cottrell.
Yeah.
And that guy looked like, I don't know, a gymnast when he was, but when he posed, he looked like one of those dinosaurs in Jurassic Park that swells up.
You know who else had a great back? And I mean, there's a phenomenal picture of him standing out in the middle of the street doing a lat spread in jeans. It was just like an iconic picture back in, I'm trying to think what year it was. I don't know.
You're killing me. Who is it?
Haney.
It's Lee Haney.
Oh, Lee. I don't know. I always thought, some reason he never hit me hard.
Me neither.
I preferred Franco's lat spread. I thought Franco was incredible lat spread. I thought he was the best lat spread I ever saw.
Well, he had the phenomenal strength to go with it, too.
Yeah, no shit. But, I think that's why. He was a legitimate 700 deadlifter weighing 185.
So what do all these guys have in common? What exercises do? They do the lifts and bent over rows.
If you want a big ass back, you have to come to grips with pulls. Whether we're talking power cleans, squat cleans, power snatches, what else?
Rows.
Deadlifts are rows are bent over. Right now, you're just doing the upright pulls. Upright pulls give you the power. Then you segue from like the high pull and the deadlift, which is the ultimate short stroke power back, power hit everything at once movement. Yeah, then you go into your different row variations, starting with your spinal column parallel to the floor, and then to the Dorian 70-degree under grip pull. Wherever you make that contraction, that's where you got to go.
Lee Haney really liked the bent over row, and he said
well,
the bent over row.
a lot of guys like the bent over row,
Oh my
but
God,
you've got to make that lat connection. A
Yeah.
lot of guys don't make it. They make a bicep connection.
Yeah.
You know what I never I mean, I did bent over rows plenty of times, and I liked them, but the thing about it was, for me, was I always felt like I was wearing out my lower back first. So I moved to more of an isolation movement, like a machine row, to where I could take all the stress off my lower back and just really concentrate on the lats.
Jimmy, you know how we take that right out of him, right?
How's that?
Put that head on the pad, right? Like you showed those boys down at Dam's Neck.
Yep. That's
right. You put your head on a stationary pad and you just pull to that.
Mm-hmm.
You freeze your torso parallel to the floor.
Yeah, or lying on an incline bench or anything. Yeah,
lying on an incline bench, right? Exactly.
Yeah, support rows.
If you're levering your low back, it's a different deal. That's a spinal erector thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we just posted this video of Kowalski in '94. He is one of the most muscled up dudes you'd ever see. I mean, he's 5'8". When that video was taken, he's around 250. He's got 22.
No, he's not 250.
What is
that's the same cycle as the 1002.
Oh, so that was when he was 80.
If he did 1002 on Monday, this was his Thursday workout.
Okay, well, he was really lean at that time.
Well, yes, sir.
So, all right. So, did he do any? So, what did he do for back?
No.
Now, he had a massive back.
You want me to tell you my conversation with Kirk about his back?
Yeah.
So I say, man, your back looks crazy, dude. What? You got a Christmas tree and all that stuff.
Right.
And his lats hung. They hung.
Right. They're like slabs of beef.
And I said, what are you doing assistance-wise? He goes, I used to do lat pulls, but I used the whole fucking machine. So, the whole stack, I tried to put weight on there, and it's just a pain in the ass. So I stopped doing them. So I would deadlift and then just do a couple sets of T-bar rows. But, man, I really squeezed at the top.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was his summary of leg press, too. He goes, well, I tried them once, but he goes, we had to bring in more plates from another gym or next door or something.
On top.
He goes, the hell with that.
So he was the minimalist in that direction. Okay, so again, I love the power clean if it's done right. But it's more 90% of the time it's done wrong. I'd rather see you not do power cleans than do them incorrectly. Although I think the YouTube you have an opportunity to learn them correctly.
Yeah.
But I like the explosive movement for a pull. Cassidy used to have us do what he would call heaves, which is halfway between a power clean and a deadlift. You use explosive. You would pull it to your belly button, but you have some ass behind it. Like triples. And of course the deadlift, and got a lot of variations in the deadlift, and that's a lot of work right there. But I know, Jim, that you had great success introducing your people to Romanian deadlifts, and what are some of the other stuff that you had success with?
With deadlifts wise?
Or back wise?
Oh, back wise. I mean, I think the one arm row pulled really low, like towards your hip.
Mm-hmm.
Is a great lat builder.
Where does the elbow end up? How high do you have to pull the elbow when you're pulling heavy?
Just right to where my waist is.
The beginning or the back?
It's let's see, that's parallel, right? Yeah. So my upper arm just has to get to parallel to the floor. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah. Upper arm parallel to the floor. That's good.
Yeah. I think people pull too high and they end up working a lot of upper back, and they don't, traps
and rear delt,
hit their lats like they should, because the lats is down there, man. It's at the bottom.
Are you stretching at the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, so a decent stretch, and then I pull my scapula together, my right scapula. If I'm doing my right arm, pull my scapula in, then row towards the hip, then relax the scapula and stretch, then pull the scapula, then row.
Yeah.
and then that way, man, I think that's a great lat builder. I always had all my teams.
Well, how many reps?
Anywhere from 6 to 12.
Okay.
The football guys all did bent over rows. That was always a part of every leg day, deadlift day, clean day, barbell. But a lot of times they'll have low back issues. They did a lot of support rows too. But
okay.
I would say, okay, if you
support
can
rows, yeah.
Yeah. But
what was your grip width?
Number one. What's that?
What was your grip width?
Oh, right outside your thighs. Clean grip. Same as your clean grip. Same as your press grip. Right outside your thighs.
A little bit narrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot harder like that, isn't it? I got that for Gates anyway. I think you can switch your grip up and experiment what's best for you. Too wide, many power. JP, you mentioned that low back with the bent over rows, but if you did it like Yates did it, you wouldn't feel your low back. See, I think what he did, he was a little too high almost, but he pulled so low.
You know why?
That lat in there.
Because he found an angle he could make that lat connection.
Yeah, that contraction, yep.
Right.
And I'm telling you, the hardest thing in the world in bent over rows is to find that spot. I don't know if I've found it consistently. That's why I don't necessarily do a lot of rows, because I don't feel as good. Now, I'll tell you what, when I do deadlifts, the way we do deadlifts, where you launch with the shoulders over the bar, man, my lats get fried.
Yeah.
And you know what else my lats get fried on? Overhead pressing.
Okay. More like a stability thing?
Not braced, out of the rack, because I'm leaning back, and a good presser, you ignite those lats to get that bar moving upward.
Interesting.
So, anyway.
There's a video where Dorian Yates is talking about training, and he starts talking about back, and he says, and you can see him doing this in a lot of different videos, he liked the Nautilus pullover machine.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he says, this is like the only exercise where it's just all lats. I mean, it's not really involving the arms or anything else. I've been doing
for
those.
Him.
Yeah, I've been doing those. That is
not for Marty.
Killer workout. Yeah, not for Marty, but that
How
is
about
a
you,
good
Jim?
exercise.
Did you make a connection with any of the Nautilus?
No, I never really used. I like the leg extension.
Yeah. Okay.
The tension was wacky, but actually the best leg extension was Arthur Jones's son made one for hammer that was crazy. But
I like some of those hammer things. They're very ball bearing, smooth, and efficient. Which of course it's like light beer.
Yeah, they got a lot of good machines now. They got a lot of good machines.
Oh, I love machines.
Yeah,
I like Cadillacs.
No, I was just using hammer yesterday. I was using the seated row. Love that thing. Yes, you're in a frozen path of motion, but...
Did you fall asleep? Did you have a drink with an umbrella?
No, I'll tell you what, man. You can get a killer workout on that thing.
I bet your muscles loved it.
They did. My lats are killing me today. What about...
you need a massage.
What about volume? Now, Jim, you trained a lot of football players at the University of Pennsylvania. So what kind of volume were you having these guys do for, say, back training?
They probably get in 10 sets total. That's including their deadlift. They do deadlift, chins, rows, and I would give them a choice of a couple other exercises. It would say lats on there, and I have a list on the wall of the assistant stuff they could pick from.
How many times a week?
Twice.
Okay, twice a week. Okay.
Yeah. So they'll go. I was always like legs back.
Same workout or different workout?
Different workouts. I would always adjust the percentages. You'd have a heavy day and a lighter day.
So 2 different back workouts a week. What would be a good example of the second back workout that week?
They'd have a choice of rowing, a pull. So I would say, I would always choose.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It could be a one-arm row or bent over row or reverse grip bent over row.
Okay.
And then they usually had their choice of the other lat exercises. And I would say to them, were you guys doing like cable lat pull downs and seated rows? I mean, did that count? Yeah, they can do those. Yep.
Okay.
And I had a DY row. I bought that for myself. The Dorian Yates row, I had that. And, cable rows and lat pulls and all that, reverse grip lat pulls and unilateral lat pulls, all that stuff,
Okay.
Yeah.
So so it sounds like the volume was maybe the same the 2 days, but the exercises were different.
Yeah. I mean, you always have a basic pull, which would be your clean deadlift or, and then some type of row, and then they got their choices after that usually.
The dessert after the entree.
Yeah, exactly. Kids really like that too. Oh, it's up to me. Okay.
How long would a session last?
Never more than an hour. If it's more, not including them fooling around and stretching.
No, I'm just talking the back part.
Oh, 35 minutes.
Okay.
30 minutes, because you got to, you're doing your legs first, then you got all their back stuff, and then it's bicep days.
Yeah. But those back exercises that you described on day 1 and day 2, no more than 30 to 35 minutes of this session.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Now, was this an in-season type schedule or off-season?
In season, we would go down to 3 days, 2 to 3 days a week. So they'd probably only get like one really heavy back workout, and that would be on a Sunday, the day after a game.
Yeah.
What would be your choice then?
Usually cleans. If you couldn't clean,
cool.
you deadlift.
Now, are you emphasizing the Wagner and Leo approach, where you're doing 1 to 2 reps in the power clean and adhering to the Olympic lift protocol, no negative?
Right. We drop. Yeah, power clean.
Explosive style.
Yep.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, lots of singles and doubles. Very rarely 3 or more. Very rarely. I'd rather do 10 sets of 2.
10, right. It's a whole different thing. It's a
technique so fast. That's why I like a lot of aspects of CrossFit, but the high rep cleans and snatches, give me a break, man. You lose technique so fast, that's how you get hurt.
Well, and as Wagner so eloquently pointed out, is that after a couple of reps, your central nervous system burns out, and then at that point you're going on nerve and muscle, and that's when bad shit happens.
Yeah. Yep. I'd rather have them set up 10 times.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Right.
Because you're also going to contrast that with the heavy grind deadlifts. Right. So boom, you got all the bases covered.
Right.
What were you guys mixing in with back training?
Me?
What? No, Jim with his football players as an example. So you guys would hit back on one day, and then would you throw in anything else, like
you talking about in season
triceps or anything?
Oh yeah. So off season, it's a classic 4-day split. It would be chest, shoulder, triceps on Monday, Thursday. It would be legs, back, and biceps on Tuesday, Friday. That's off season. Now I put all the lifts in according, I know my basic lifts. I know the assistant stuff. That's how it's all split up. I mean, I'm not doing, 15 sets of triceps with them because they're getting so much with their pressing anyway. So if they're doing a bench and a shoulder press and an incline press, their shoulders are pretty much covered, especially at the angle where you did the incline press. So I would say today we're not going to do an overhead press. We're going to do a high incline. Okay, so that's you hit your shoulders really hard there. And lots of lateral raises, man. We do tons of front, side, rear, just because of injury prevention.
May I make an observation?
Sure.
It is almost like power bodybuilding.
It is power building. Yep, that's right.
Power bodybuilding. It reminds me, you know who train crazy, training the same muscle 3 times a week?
Who's that?
Kaz.
Kazmaier?
Kaz. You get some of Tony Fitton's early books, the Kaz Quest stuff, where it shows what exactly Kaz was doing when he was coming up. And I could only classify it as power bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I think what Ed Cohn did too. Ed would only train a muscle once a week, but he was doing chins, he was doing tricep push downs, he was doing press behind the necks. He just a lot of different movements. I went to many of his sessions at Quads with him, And yeah, he would start off with those, monster squats, but he'd work through, leg extensions and leg presses with one leg, and I mean, on and on. And, I can appreciate it. Uh, I think it helps make an athlete bulletproof.
Yeah. And do you think that the reason why Cash and Estep and all those old guys look so good is because they did a lot of bodybuilding movements also after their main lifts?
Think it's because they were strong as shit in the individual lifts. If a guy can press behind the neck 350 for reps, well, guess what? He's going to have some damn incredible shoulders, right? Or if, you can strict curl 225, which Kirk could do. It was like, wow, okay, that's why. Oh, Kirk, in an aside, I'm putting up the little side quotations here. So Kirk came in last Sunday and we were talking. He said, so the video had come up and, we'd seen these shots. And I said, well, what were your measurements then? He said, well, I was never too much on measurements. He said, but I know that week, he said, because I got measured by, whoever, my arms were 22 1/8 and my thighs were 32 1/8. Like, okay. I said, what were your calves? He said, oh, I never measured my calves.
Big.
Said, 20 inches, baby, for sure. And that back was built on one all-out set a week, right? So Kirk and myself and Chalet, we staked out the minimalism one time a week approach, but you also have great exponents on the higher volume approach, and I think that's what Jim's approaching. I mean, and you know who else? Gillingham trains like that.
He does. He does a lot.
Brad trains his ass off. I mean, he's doing like Romanian deadlifts and rack pulls. Do you yourself? Now, by the way, I might mention this. Jim is an incredible deadlifter. His sumo technique is sublime. I love the way you get wedged underneath that damn bar. And even facing back surgery, this guy can pull 700. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's no brag. That's just fact.
Right.
Right. Because he was like, well, I'm not going, why are you doing this? You're going in for major back surgery. And he goes, well, if it doesn't go right, I might never get the chance again.
That's true.
All right.
That's true.
Jim, what was your PR on deadlift?
In a meet 740. 740 in a meet.
740?
Tension on a gym, and then 740 in a meet, and then missed 775 on my third.
740, and then at what body weight?
268.
268. Marty, what's your PR in a meet?
744 at 242. Let me see, at 220, 688, at 198, 644. Yeah.
Some pulling.
Old too, all over 40.
That is some pulling. That video that we just posted of Kirk is at his all-time peak or close to it. He's doing.
And you like the way he put down that second rep
and walked away.
He's like, slam that bitch down. He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Bitch,
well, that was
you.
So that was 810 for a double. And on the second one, he just.
And I am going to get on his ass because what's up with 810, Jim? Is he loading 2.5s on?
Probably from those big collars.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can get there. Otherwise, that's disgraceful.
Yeah, maybe 2.5 collars. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to point that out to him. But I love the way he put that second rep down.
That is the most. I mean, we're going to do a podcast and an article coming up pretty soon.
Well,
muscular.
Can we get him on with us?
Yeah, I'm going to get him on.
Four-way? Oh, can we get Jim and I on with him?
No, listen, you're going to be writing an article on this, most muscular powerlifters of all time, and we're going to have him on and talk about this. This video that we just posted is just unbelievable. Name another powerlifter or weightlifter, non-bodybuilder, but weightlifter, powerlifter that's more muscular than Kirk Kowalski. In this video, you can't.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, he's pretty muscular.
Right. And again, I don't keep beating on a dead horse, but that was beat on one all-out set in 3 lifts. Well, actually 4 lifts if you count the heavy incline, once a week.
Yeah, unbelievable. But he looked like a bodybuilder on such minimalism.
But that guy was living on, for him, dieting was cutting down to 4 7-Eleven big bites, but he would hold back on the nacho cheese.
Yeah, well, when he got to 242, what's it, Duraz? What's it?
Tony Durazzo. Yeah. That was a hardcore guy. And all he did was he took him off junk food and put him on, rice and chicken and some sort of vegetable like crock pot stuff.
Yeah,
Kirk liked that, and Kirk had the situation. Kirk was working a union job. He was working 9 to 5, and then he would work a little. I forget how it went. I think he'd work a little overtime on one day, and he'd get off on Monday altogether. So he's working 4.5 days a week, and it was so regimented, and he was able to regiment his entire life around it.
Mm.
And he did that for 10 years. Boom, in the pocket. 10 years. That's right. And that's what it took. And that's what it took.
When
it
he
took
shot,
a while before we got traction, boys. Whew.
Yeah. Now, when he shot that beach video, if you go to YouTube and type in Kirk Kowalski beach video, he decided to take a week off at that point, just hang with his bros down at the beach. And he said, he drank a lot of beer and ate whatever the hell he wanted. He said, I was getting leaner by the day. And he called his guy and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about with all this diet stuff. I'm just drinking beer and eating at 7-Eleven and I'm getting leaner every day. And but if you want to see the best images of his back, look at that video. He's on the beach. He's in the kitchen posing down with his back, and very impressive. Now,
and I'm telling you, those videos don't portray what we saw, every day of the week when he would just come strolling in, and again, I was no babe in the woods, man. I'd come up with Mark fucking Chalet, that guy was a monster, and he hung out with monsters, and I knew what monsters looked like. And when he started with me, he was not a monster. He was kind of a bottom heavy one lift pony, right? He was a good squatter, but that was it. His bench press was okay, like 405 or something. His deadlift was, I don't know, 605, right? Good squat, legitimate 800 squatter, but past that. But you know what? He hit his weak points hard.
Yeah.
And that's what made a difference with him. That would make a difference with anybody.
Well, he wanted to win. He wanted to be great. That was it.
He also got tired of the comments. Hey, baby Huey. Hey, who'd want to be built like you? Hey, what happened? Did your torso get shot off in the war? Or did you have a torso?
Well, he fixed that problem.
Hey, you look like a satyr out of Roman mythology. Yeah. Half man, half beast. Get tired of that. So he changed it. He fixed it.
Good, man.
Well, he ended up. How he fixed it? He got a 600 raw bench. That'll fix your upper body problems.
Yeah.
You know how you fix your weak back problems? Get an 840 deadlift, right?
Grow or die.
Yeah. That's it. But that's how he cured it. He got a 600 bench and he got an 800 deadlift, and guess what? He no longer had an underdeveloped upper body.
Yeah, and he added in that arm day on Tuesdays where he did the close grips and the 80-pound easy curl.
Yeah. It was all so easy. He'd be like chewing gum while he was doing it.
Yeah.
Now, Marty, speaking of Kirk doing deadlifts, he had sort of a unique obstacle, I guess, to overcome or try to overcome. He had smaller than usual hands, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you had to work with that. So how did you guys work with that?
Well, he tried grip work, but it didn't. On the cost value ratio, the amount of time that he put into grip work really didn't pay off that much. So my strategy was, and the strategy that eventually paid off is, well, instead of trying to improve the grip, why don't we just pull faster?
Yeah.
And instead of taking 2 seconds to pull a deadlift, let's pull it in 1. Right.
Yeah.
And that worked for Kirk because he has, his hip hinge could open so fast. And to this day, if you look at him from the side, when that guy gets in the start position of the deadlift and when it's launch time, he opens that hip hinge like, oh my God, it's just like bang, right? We timed it like everybody else in the gym, and we had some good athletes. Everyone else was clocking out. They had the speed meter gym that you hook on the side of the barbell.
And tendo unit.
Yeah, whatever it is that measures the velocity. So we hooked on one on the side of the barbell, and everyone else was topping out like at 4.7 and 5.2. Kirk was 9.8. He was burning it up. And he was, let's say he was in comeback mode. He was not in peak mode.
Really fast, man.
Oh, but his explosiveness is just like, wow, off the charts.
Yeah.
What was the grip exercise he used to do? They called him grip pull. Kirk pulls or something.
Kirk shrug.
He got it from Eddie Cohn. I gave it to Kirk from Ed. Double overhand shrug in the power rack. And, you just load up, I think Eddie would probably load up to, 555, where Kirk would probably load up to 405 or 455. And so when you stand up at the bar, you're about 3 inches above the pins, and you just start going. And you go, and you go, and you go, and you go, and you pull it as high as you can. Try to touch your ears in every rep. Keep going, keep going. Oh, it's opening your fingers. Oh, so what? Keep going, keep going. Oh, it's on the tips of your fingers. Keep going. And, finally it falls out and it clatters down on the pins. It could be 23 reps, 25 reps, 27 reps on a good day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It was the finger strengthening exercise. Kirk loved it. I got some great photos of him doing it.
Yep.
Because he'd get a hell of a pump out of it. Does that help you hang on to an 850 deadlift? I don't know.
Yeah, I may give him the confidence to do it, and it made his traps big as shit. So I did that with all my teams. I called those Kirk shrugs. He was thrilled. I ended up took a picture of it. Yeah.
Marty, do you think you had said something one time about maybe I should have switched Kirk over to sumo?
Oh yeah. I think I should have. His legs were so big it spread his grip, and if you look at it, when he pulls conventional, his grip is wide, and it's just like, you know what? I should have just had him open his stance another 10 inches and just put your hands side, and let's harness the strongest legs in the world in the deadlift. But I should have done that when he was 21. Right, and insisted on it back when he was pliable. Past a certain point, it was like, I'm just like Angelo Dundee managing Ali. He tells me, I don't tell him.
Yeah.
There was a point up until when I told him.
Yeah.
And I should have switched him out, but I don't. But none of us did the sumo. Right, we weren't comfortable with it.
Now Cohn was he was conventional, right?
No, he was sumo.
He was sumo.
Oh yeah, but he was in Chicago. He wasn't in our neighborhood.
But he got injured competing one time and had to switch to conventional, right?
No, he got injured outside of competition, chasing down some hoodlums in his neighborhood. And he pulled a hamstring, and it never recovered, and it just never came back, and he just had to switch to conventional. And he was a great conventional puller. I think he pulled 900 conventional, but his sumo was sublime. At 220, if he could have stayed in sumo mode, he would have pulled 950, no doubt.
Because he pulled 901 at 218, and he was young.
Marty was his coach that day. Yeah, and that was the second attempt. We actually tried 920 on the third.
How did he get it? Where did he get to his knees?
Well, he was kind of anticlimactic. The place went so crazy when he pulled the 900.
Yeah.
That you kind of shoot your wad because, they stopped the competition. People are going crazy. Flashbulbs are going off, shaking hands, blah, blah, blah. It's just, and it's hard to come back from that and regroup and come out again. He had actually pulled it in training. He had pulled 900 for a double in training.
Wow.
Right. And at that meet, he asked me to pick his attempts. I was like, oh, my God.
No pressure.
No pressure there. No pressure there.
Greatest powerlifter ever walked the face of the earth. No pressure.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah, that was a day. All right. So, listen, what else do you want to know?
I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of good back information.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We rolled good.
All right, so we'll end it there. Check out Marty's weekly column and podcast, Raw with Marty Gallagher, at ironcompany.com. And Marty's also available for online training and seminars. And Jim, I believe you are too, right?
Sure. Marty and I can be a tag team or whatever you need.
God have mercy on that person.
If you want to get a hold of any of these guys for any of that, now Marty's contact information is on our athletes page at Iron Company. You can email them there, or just email the general mailbox at Iron Company. You can get a hold of Jim, or go to his website at Bass Barbell, BAS Barbell.com. You got Jim. How often do you put new articles up? About a couple times a month?
Yeah, usually a couple times a month. And then I put once a month for you, and then...
So, yeah, you've got some good stuff going there. You write an article a month for us that we've been posting. You can also find that on our site.
He has some excellent dog photos.
Great dog photos.
You got a new puppy, yeah. And then if anybody's...
He's a new father.
He is.
9-week-old puppy.
And then if anybody needs anything gym equipment related, strength equipment, cardio, anything, rubber flooring, turf,
the Kirk
please check us out at Iron Company. We can definitely help you out there. So that's going to wrap it up, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
All right, bye.